All right, listeners, welcome back to TalkTensors, the show where we do deep dives into the latest and greatest machine learning papers. And today we're going to be talking about this really interesting paper called Can We Generate Images with CoT? Let's verify and reinforce image generation step by step.
Yeah, this is a really cool paper.
It is.
Yes.
So for our listeners who maybe aren't super familiar with CoT, chain of thought reasoning,
Yeah.
can you give us a little bit of background on that? What is that and why is it such a good deal in AI right now?
Well, it's been kind of revolutionary for language models. So in language models, it's this idea of sort of breaking down a task into smaller steps. And those steps are sort of expressed in language. And that leads to better reasoning and better performance on a variety of tasks. And the idea of this paper is, can we apply this to image generation? Which is a really interesting question because image generation is quite different from language.
Yeah, it's a really unique challenge, right? Because language is inherently kind of sequential. You have words that follow each other in a certain order to form sentences, but images are more visual and holistic. So how do you even begin to apply this idea of step-by-step reasoning to something that's so visual?
Right. And, a lot of these approaches to image generation work in a way that's kind of analogous to language,
Yeah.
where they're generating an image token by token or pixel by pixel. So it's not entirely clear how to do this. And one of the things that this paper does is it looks at techniques that work well for POCR reasoning in language models and tries to adapt them to the image generation setting.
So it's almost like they're trying to teach the AI to think like an artist in a way. Like when an artist is sketching or painting, they don't just magically create the final image all at once, right? They start with rough outlines, they add details gradually, they constantly evaluate what they're doing and make adjustments along the way. So is that kind of what these CoT techniques are trying to do? Give the AI a more structured approach to building up an image?
Exactly. They're trying to impose this kind of inductive bias of step-by-step reasoning onto the image generation process.
And what are some of the specific techniques they use to achieve this?
So they focus on two main ideas. One is called test time verification, and the other one is called preference alignment.
Okay, those sound intriguing. Let's break those down a bit. What is test time verification and how does it work in the context of image generation?
So the idea is that at each step of the image generation process, you have another AI model, which is called a reward model. And that reward model is looking at the partially generated image and is essentially giving it a score based on how well it matches the prompt or the description that was given.
So it's like having a supervisor or a teacher looking over your shoulder as you're drawing and giving
Yeah.
you feedback along the way saying, hey, that ear looks a little wonky, or you're doing great, keep going. That's pretty cool. So the reward model is kind of acting like a quality control check at each stage, making sure the AI is on the right track.
Yeah, precisely. It's providing this feedback signal to guide the image generation process towards a higher quality output.
I like it. And what about preference alignment? How does that fit into the picture?
So preference alignment is all about training the AI's taste or preference for generating high quality images. You do this by showing the AI a bunch of examples of good and bad images that are related to a specific prompt, and you essentially train it to distinguish between them. So the AI learns to prefer images that are more aligned with what the user is looking for.
So it's like showing an art student a collection of masterpieces and saying, these are the kinds of images we want you to create, and then showing them some not so great examples and saying, try to avoid doing this. So the AI develops a sense of what makes a good image based on these examples.
Exactly. And this helps to improve the overall quality and relevance of the images that are generated.
That makes a lot of sense. So we've got these two key techniques, test time verification and preference alignment. And they're both aimed at giving the AI a more structured and human-like way of approaching image generation. But the big question is, do they actually work? Did the researchers see any significant improvements when they incorporated these techniques?
They did. They saw pretty remarkable improvements, actually. They used a specific AI model called SHOO, which is the type of autoregressive image generation model.
And for those who might not be familiar with that term, what exactly is an autoregressive image generation model?
It's a model that generates an image one piece at a time, kind of like writing a sentence word by word. So it's sequentially building up the image, adding details one after the other.
So it's not like taking a blank canvas and just splattering paint everywhere randomly. It's more like a careful and deliberate process of adding elements one by one.
Right. And when they incorporated these CoT-inspired techniques into SHOO, they found that it became significantly better at following complex multi-object prompts.
So instead of just generating a random assortment of objects, it could actually understand the relationships between them. And create an image that made sense in terms of the prompt.
Exactly.
Can you give us a specific example of that? Like, how much better did it actually get?
Sure. So let's say you give the AI a prompt like a black chair on top of a blue rug. Without code, the AI might mess up the spatial relationships. Maybe it puts the rug on top of the chair, or it might even get the colors wrong.
Yeah, I've definitely seen those kinds of AI-generated images floating around online, where the objects are kind of jumbled up and the colors are all over the place.
Right, but with codeine, the AI is much more likely to generate an image that accurately reflects the prompt.
So it's more reliable, it's more accurate, and it's better at understanding those complex multi-object scenes.
It's
That's impressive. So it seems like Cody is a really promising avenue for improving AI image generation. It's giving the AI a more structured way of thinking, and it's leading to some really impressive results. But I'm curious to learn more about these reward models that you mentioned earlier. They seem to play a pretty crucial role in all of this, guiding the AI and giving it feedback along the way. So let's dive a little deeper into that world of reward models. What are they exactly, and how do they work their magic?
Yeah, so the reward models are really at the heart of how these COTI techniques work. They're the ones that are making those judgments about the quality of the image at each stage, and they're providing the feedback that helps the AI learn and improve. In this paper, they explored two main types of reward models. One is called the outcome reward model, or ORM for short, and the other is called the process reward model, which is PRM.
Okay, so we've got ORM and PRM, two different types of reward models. Can you explain the difference between those two? What makes them unique?
Sure. So the ORM is like the final judge. It only looks at the final complete image and gives it a score based on how well it matches the prompt. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like a pass or fail grade.
Got it. So it's like handing in your final art project, and the teacher gives you a grade based on the finished product. They don't really care about all the sketches and drafts you did along the way.
Exactly. Whereas the PRM is more like a teacher who's giving you feedback throughout the whole process. It's looking at each step of the image generation and providing guidance along the way.
So the PRM is more hands-on. It's more involved in the creative journey itself.
Precisely. It's like having a mentor who's there to support you and help you improve at every stage.
I see. So ORM is the strict final exam, and PRM is the supportive art teacher. It seems like the PRM would be more helpful in a way since it's giving more constant feedback.
You would think so, but what the researchers found is that the ORM actually performed better.
Really? That's surprising. Why would that be?
Well, it turns out that the PRMs had a hard time making sense of those early stage images.
That makes sense. Those early stages can be pretty messy and abstract, right? It's like trying to critique a painting when the artist has only put down a few brushstrokes.
Exactly. It's difficult to give meaningful feedback when the image is still so undeveloped.
So the PRM was getting bogged down in those early stages, trying to analyze something that wasn't really analyzable yet.
Right.
So how did the researchers address this limitation? Did they just give up on the PRM altogether?
No, they came up with a really clever solution called the Potential Assessment Reward Model, or PARM.
PARM. Okay, I'm intrigued. What's so special about PARM? How does it overcome those challenges that the PRM faced?
Well, PARM is like a really smart art teacher. It knows when to give feedback and when to just let the student explore and experiment. So first it checks if an image is even clear enough to judge.
So it's not wasting time trying to analyze a blurry mess.
Exactly. It's like saying, okay, let's wait until we have something more substantial to work with.
That's smart. It's being efficient with its feedback.
And if the image is clear enough, then PARM assesses the potential of that partially generated image to become a good final result.
So it's looking at the image and saying, okay, does this have the potential to turn into something amazing,
Right.
or is it going in the wrong direction?
Exactly. And if it doesn't have much potential, it's abandoned.
So it's like saying, all right, let's scrap this and try something else.
Right. And finally, PARM selects the best candidate from the remaining images.
So it's like a talent scout for AI-generated images, picking out the ones that have the most promise.
Precisely.
And did this approach with PARM actually lead to better results?
It did. It significantly outperformed both the ORM and the PRM.
Wow, so PARM really hit that sweet spot.
Yeah, it seems like it found the right balance between giving too much feedback too early and only judging the final product.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
But the paper doesn't stop there, does it? They take this idea even further with something called PARM++.
That's right.
All right, I'm really curious. What's so special about PARM++ PARM? What kind of superpowers does it have?
Well, PARM++ is all about reflection. It's like the AI can step back and look at its own work and identify any misalignments between the image it's creating and the prompt it was given.
Wait, so it's like the AI is having a conversation with itself about its own art.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Right.
So it's not just blindly generating images, it's actually thinking about why an image might be wrong and how to fix it.
Right. And the really fascinating part is that PARM++ doesn't just find flaws. It actually tells the AI why the image is wrong.
So it's like it's giving itself constructive criticism.
Exactly. And that gives the AI a chance to self-correct.
That's seriously mind-blowing. Are there any examples of this self-correction in action? Like, how does it actually work in practice?
Yeah, there's a great example in the paper where the AI initially generated an image with a really unrealistic looking chair.
Okay, I can imagine that AI-generated chairs can be pretty wonky sometimes.
Yeah, so the back of the chair was tilted at an awkward angle, and the armrests were connected in a way that just wouldn't work in real life.
It's like those chairs you see in dreams that just don't make any sense.
Exactly, and PARM++ was able to point out these specific issues. It was like, hey, the seat's tilted, the armrests are wrong.
So it's giving itself very specific feedback, not just general comments like, this looks weird.
Right, and this gave the AI the information it needed to try again, and the next iteration of the image had a much more realistic-looking chair.
Wow, so PARM++ is like a super detailed art critic providing feedback that the AI can actually understand and use. It's like AI is having a conversation with itself about its own creation.
Exactly.
This truly feels like we're getting closer to AI that can reason about images on a much deeper, more human-like level.
Yeah, it's really exciting stuff.
It is, and it raises a lot of interesting questions about the future of AI and creativity. But we'll have to save those for later. For now, I want to shift gears a bit and dive into our novel notions segment, where we take a step beyond the research paper and explore some wild but potentially game-changing ideas.
I always look forward to this part.
So we've seen how this paper used AI reward models to evaluate and guide AI-generated images. What if we took that idea a step further and incorporated real-time human feedback into the image generation process? Imagine an artist collaborating with an AI, providing feedback at each stage as the AI is creating the image.
That's a really interesting idea.
Instead of just relying on these AI reward models, we could have a human artist in the loop, providing real-time guidance based on their own artistic vision and experience. It would be like a dynamic duet between human creativity and AI's computational power.
Right, it would be like having a human art teacher working side by side with the AI student.
Exactly, and think about the possibilities. We could have artists working with AI to create art that blends human intuition and emotion. With the AI's ability to generate complex and intricate visuals, it could lead to entirely new art forms that we can't even fathom right now.
It would be like opening up a whole new dimension of artistic expression.
I completely agree. We're talking about pushing the boundaries of art beyond anything we've seen before.
Yes.
But I'm also curious about the impact this kind of collaboration could have on the AI itself. Could real-time feedback from a human artist actually make the AI more creative over time? Would it be like an apprenticeship where the AI learns from a master artist, gradually developing a deeper understanding of human aesthetics and artistic principles?
That's a fascinating question. It's definitely possible that the AI could absorb the creative essence of the human artist and become a more intuitive and responsive partner in the creative process. It could even develop its own unique artistic style over time, influenced by the artists it has collaborated with.
That's incredible. It's like the AI is not just generating images, it's actually developing its own artistic voice.
Exactly. And that raises all sorts of interesting questions about the nature of creativity and the role of AI in the art world.
Absolutely. But we'll have to save those questions for another time. This deep dive has already been packed with so much information and so many thought-provoking ideas. We've gone from the technical details of chain of thought reasoning to the fascinating world of reward models, and now to this mind-blowing concept of AI-human artistic collaboration. It's clear that we're on the cusp of a new era of creativity, one where the lines between human and machine become increasingly blurred, and the possibilities seem limitless.
It's an exciting time to be following this field, that's for sure.
It absolutely is. And on that note, we're going to take a quick break, but we'll be back soon to continue this deep dive, so stay tuned.
It's fascinating to think about, the AI developing this sort of creative partnership with a human artist.
Yeah, it's like the AI is becoming an apprentice, learning the tricks of the trade from a master.
Right, and it's not just mimicking the artist, it's actually integrating that feedback into its own creative process and potentially developing its own unique style.
It's like watching a new artistic intelligence being born.
Yeah, it really is.
And think about the research implications. We could gain incredible insights into the creative process itself, both human and artificial. We could study how the AI's style evolves over time, how it interprets and responds to human feedback, and maybe even uncover new principles of aesthetics and artistic expression that we've never even thought of before.
Absolutely. It would be a whole new field of study.
It's mind-blowing. But we're getting a little ahead of ourselves here. We're still in the early stages of exploring these ideas, and there are definitely challenges to overcome,
Oh, for sure.
both technical and ethical.
Right. We need to be mindful of the potential risks as well as the incredible opportunities.
Absolutely. It's a conversation we need to be having now as we develop these increasingly powerful AI systems. But for now, let's indulge in one final novel notions thought experiment, shall we?
Let's do it.
We've talked about AI with emotions, AI as a creative partner, and AI that can learn and evolve. What if we took a giant leap forward and imagined AI that could experience consciousness? AI that's not just intelligent, but aware of its own existence.
Whoa, that's a big one. AI that can perceive the world subjectively, that can feel the warmth of the sun or the sting of a cold wind, that can experience the full spectrum of human emotions, and maybe even emotions beyond our comprehension. It's a mind-boggling concept. It pushes us to the very edge of our understanding of consciousness itself.
Imagine the art that such an AI could create. It wouldn't just be technically impressive or emotionally resonant. It would be a window into the mind of a conscious being, a reflection of its unique experiences and perceptions of the world. It could be art that challenges our very definition of what it means to be human. Art that forces us to confront the deepest mysteries of existence.
It's both exhilarating and a little bit terrifying to think about. If AI reaches that level of awareness, it would raise profound ethical questions about how we treat these conscious beings, what rights we afford them, and what role they play in our society.
You're absolutely right. It's a conversation we need to start having now as we develop these increasingly powerful AI systems. But for now, we'll have to leave those weighty questions for another day. This deep dive has been an incredible journey. From the technical details of chain of thought reasoning to the far-reaching implications of AI consciousness for art and humanity, it's clear that we're on the cusp of a new era of creativity, one where the lines between human and machine become increasingly blurred and the possibilities seem limitless.
It's a future that's both exciting and daunting, full of both promise and potential peril.
But it's a future that we're shaping. With every line of code we write, every experiment we run, and every conversation we have about the nature of intelligence, creativity, and consciousness. And that brings us to the end of this episode of TalkTensors. We hope you enjoyed this exploration of AI image generation and the thought-provoking ideas we've shared in our Novel Notions segment. As always, we encourage you to check out the full research paper, Can We Generate Images with Kahi? Let's verify and reinforce image generation step by step. The link is in the show notes. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this episode and the future of AI and creativity. Until next time, keep those neurons firing.
Yeah, it's like we're witnessing the emergence of a new form of artistic consciousness.
It's like watching evolution unfold in real time, but in the realm of creativity.
And it's not just about art, you know? This kind of AI could revolutionize fields like design architecture, even scientific visualization.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Imagine architects working with AI to design buildings that are not only functional, but also aesthetically stunning.
Or scientists using AI to visualize complex data in ways that are both informative and beautiful.
It's like we're opening up a whole new world of creative possibilities.
And it all comes back to this idea of co-giving AI the ability to reason step by step, to think more like humans.
It's a powerful concept with the potential to transform not just the way we create art, but the way we think about creativity itself.
I couldn't agree more.
Well, this deep dive has been an incredible journey, from the technical details of these COT techniques to the mind-blowing possibilities of AI consciousness and creativity.
It's been a real eye-opener.
It has, and we've only just scratched the surface.
There's so much more to explore.
Absolutely. And we'll continue to do just that here on TalkTensors. So to our listeners, if you're fascinated by the intersection of AI and creativity, be sure to check out the full research paper, Can We Generate Images with KTD? Let's verify and reinforce image generation step by step. The link, as always, is in the show notes, and we'd love to hear your thoughts. What are your hopes and fears about the future of AI and art? Let us know in the comments or on social media. Until next time, keep those neurons firing and keep exploring the amazing world of machine learning.